rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, your sweating like a dog in heat, because I am in heat, host, Rick. You know, if I just went off of anecdotals, yeah, climate change is real. But I don't. I go off of facts and evidence. It's August in frickin'... It's August in the Northwest, and this is typical for August in the Northwest. It gets hot. Hello. Anyway, oh my gosh, I wrote the wrong. I'm on my wrong persona in the Rumble chat. Ooh, obviously I was running a bit behind, but anyway, I know you guys over on the East Coast and down in the South. You guys sit there and you talk about heat, and you talk about in the hundreds, and you talk about the humidity and all of that other stuff. Yeah, well, you know, us, unfortunately, us Western folks and Northern boys and girls, yeah, 84. Nana says it's 84. Well, that's pretty damn close to what it is here. Yeah, it's hot. It's damn hot. Taking a line from, Good Morning Vietnam. It's just hot. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. I get hey, I don't know. I think this is a Buddy. This is a Buddy Wiser one. So, yeah. I think this is a Buddy Wiser bar behind me. So there you go. All right, folks. Let's go ahead and get things kicked off. Tonight is Definitely Not Karen. Definitely Not Karen is up for the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are of mine, please stand, remove your hat if you're wearing one, and place it, obviously remove it, and then place your hand over your heart and follow along with Definitely Not Karen as he recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you, Definitely Not Karen, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting or performing the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file that, take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, and attach it to an email address, or just share to an email address. Send it off to fans, F-A-N-S, at americanperspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at americanperspective.online. And I'll get you into the rotation. I'm at 17. I'm looking for 18. I like even numbers. So somebody's got to get me 18. Somebody's got to get me number 18. I don't know. Is it going to be Z? Maybe? Bam. Get your daughter. Come on. Get your daughter to do this. Is it Z or maybe D? Maybe Z and D can do it together. Anyway, I don't really care. I just need number 18. So come on, folks. You can get me number 18. All right. Let's go ahead with today's headline sponsor, which is, as soon as I can get the graphic up here. There we go. TheFlagShirt.com. That is TheFlagShirt.com. It is a website you can order patriotic clothing from. They've got men's, women's, made in the USA, kids, accessories. They've got all kinds of stuff. They even put together some Independence Day outfits as well. And they've got some great deals. Like right now, you can get patriotic and save with August deals. August. You can get up to 50% off select styles with their August deals sale that is going on right now. And if you order $75 or more of their product, they will provide you with free shipping on those orders. But I know not everybody can, spend $75 or more, or even wants to spend $75 or more on patriotic clothing. I mean, usually you just wear maybe one or two. You're not like me, where I wear them quite a bit. Quite often I wear them on the program. I'm not wearing one tonight because it's hot, but, I wear them on the program. But anyway, so if you just want to get a special gift off of me, a gift of $5 off your order, you can go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online and grab that coupon code that's presented to you. Take that, paste it, not reply, but paste it into the promo code box at checkout at theflagshirt.com and get $5 off your order on American Perspective. Go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online. Take that coupon code that you're presented with, copy and paste it into the promo code box at checkout at theflagshirt.com and get $5 off your order. Go to theflagshirt.com where they've got some fantastic styles in the good old red, white, and blue, along with a bunch of other patriotic graphics as well. Go to theflagshirt.com and get yourself patriotized. All right. So, the big news, which of course has got the left all freaking. That's right. They're freaking over this. Even though he did it, and, again, it's all legal. This president, I have to admit, this president, this administration has been doing things. They've been doing all kinds of things, but they've been doing it above board. It's all legal and legit. So far, everything that they have done is not only been constitutional, but also has been legal. Completely legal. So, first of all, I'm not going to play the entire press conference that was done today, but President Trump did give a press conference today, and, I'm just going to play the first couple of minutes for it, but you can come and check it out. Let's take a listen right now.
It's going to be a beautiful ballroom. This is really a lot of people, most I've ever seen in this room. And we're here for a very serious purpose, Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States. I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening. They've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it, too. You're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now. The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth, much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings has more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years. Can't be worse. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it. Just like we did.
All right, so I'm going to stop it right there because he goes on and talks a little bit further about the crime and so on and so forth. But a lot of people, especially those on the left, have all been like, now, wait a minute, especially those morons on the social medias who seem to think that they legally know everything, and they don't. But they're all sitting there and they're all saying, oh, wait a minute, how is it that he can deploy the National Guard today in D.C., but he couldn't do it on January 6th? I'm about to explain why. First, let's talk about this home rule that he talks about, Section 740. So, Section 40, which is D.C. Official Code 1-207.40, all right, states that the President of the United States, whenever he or she determines that special conditions of an emergency nature exist, which require the use of what's called the Metropolitan Police Force for federal purposes, he may direct the mayor to provide him, and the mayor shall provide such services of the Metropolitan Police Force as the president may deem necessary and appropriate. In no case, however, shall such services made available pursuant to any such direction under this subsection extend for a period in excess of 48 hours unless the president has, prior to the expiration of such period, notified the chairman and ranking minority members of the committees of the District of Columbia, of the Senate, and the House of Representatives in writing as to the reason for such direction and period of time during which the need for such services is likely to continue. You guys hear that? This is the law. This is the law. The law states that whenever the president shall deem special conditions of an emergency nature, Trump has deemed there are special conditions of an emergency nature. He has written 2 executive orders. The first one is the one to such effect. The second one is the notification to the chairman and the ranking minority members of the committees on the District of Columbia, of the Senate, and the House of Representatives. He's taking control for longer than the 48-hour period of time. So there you go. And there's nothing that the mayor can do about it. He has declared it. He has done it. And it's now taking over. Now, many of the left are sitting here saying, well, wait a minute, he's deploying the D.C. National Guard. He can't do that. Yeah, he can. And here's why. On January 6th, well, first of all, you need to understand, okay, there are several areas that are in and around Washington, D.C., okay? The first, obviously, is the constitutionally mandated 10-square-mile area known as the district. Now, the district is constitutionally run by Congress. It is constitutionally run by Congress. Now, Congress, in the formation of the D.C. metro area, which is different, I'm saying this again, it's different than the Capitol grounds themselves and the district. the 10 square mile areas known as the district, because the D.C. metropolitan area and the Metropolitan Police Department cover 68 square miles. So that's about 58 square miles bigger than the area known as the district that has been constitutionally created for the federal government to exist within. And this is where things get, this is so complex. I don't even understand how people just don't seem to understand this, but it is very complex. So the D.C., the district, known as the district, the 10 square mile area that covers all of the federal government, was ceded by Maryland and Virginia in particular. And I think, I can't think of the third state. But anyway, 3 states gave up some land to create this district. And what has happened over the course of basically the last 225 years, give or take, it has grown into a metropolitan area. That metropolitan area is what we, as most of us, refer to it as Washington, D.C., although parts of it land within Maryland state, within Virginia, and within that third state, I think, that's there. And I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank for whatever. I'm suffering from sometimers here. So you have Maryland, you have D.C., or you have Maryland, you have Virginia, and I think one other. Anyway, the point being is that the area known as the district is controlled by Congress. Nothing happens in the district without Congress supposedly and reportedly, constitutionally speaking, being involved. Congress ceded that over to D.C. Thank you. I think it's Delaware. Correct. I believe it's Delaware. So anyway, the point being is that all of those areas, okay, are also run under state control that are outside of the city, just like a city or a state would be in any other place, like the city of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania, you have state cops, you have city cops, you have, county cops, you have all those, okay? And so essentially what we're dealing with here is one other additional layer onto the normal state, city, county scenario, which essentially is the federal government. Now, the federal government, again, the Congress has control over the district. Now, to further complex things, there is the United States Capitol Police, known as the USCP. Now, the USCP covers the grounds known as the Capitol Complex. They have primary jurisdiction over the Capitol Complex. Now, that includes most of the district, meaning the Capitol building, the congressional office buildings, Library of Congress, surrounding grounds. It covers roughly around 270 acres. Now, the USCP obviously is responsible for protecting Congress, its members, officers of Congress, the families, both within the Capitol complex itself and also throughout the United States, its territories, and the District of Columbia, or the D.C., all right, the district, all right? Now, the U.S. Capitol Police are the only full-service federal law enforcement agency that is appointed and run by the executive branch. They report to what's known as the Capitol Police Board, which is comprised of the House and Senate Sergeant-at-Arms and the architect of the Capitol. So when January 6th occurred, all of the people who were on the Capitol grounds were under the jurisdiction, get this, of the House and Senate Sergeant-at-Arms and the architect of the Capitol. The executive branch is not involved in the Capitol Police at all. Period. The executive branch has nothing to do with the Capitol Police by the Constitution. It is all on Congress. Period. And so when January 6th happened, and Muriel Bowser and the sergeant at arms of both the House and the Senate and the architect of the Capitol refused the D.C. National Guard help. And Muriel Bowser actually used the National Guard. She just used it for traffic control, outside of the district. They were on the fringes for the most part. The ones that actually did get deployed, they were there for traffic control. And so that is essentially why on January 6th, the president cannot and has no authority until asked to deploy the National Guard within the D.C. Capitol grounds. That's it. So there's nothing that he could have done on January 6th, regardless of what any of these other morons are trying to tell you. There's nothing he could have done on January 6th. He offered the National Guard on January 3rd. They were turned down, and that's it. End of story. Trump had absolutely zero anything to do with January 6th after that. Regardless of how much the leftists sit there and try and scream and holler, jump and shout and everything else. Now, remember, the Metropolitan Police Department operates outside of the district. They cover the 68 square miles that are surrounding it. So, what ends up happening now is he has now essentially ringed, I mean, if you really want to think of it this way, he's now essentially ringed the district area with the police force that is now under his control based on the home rule section 740 that he quoted. And the reason why he's doing this is because the DC police, the Metropolitan Police Department of the District of Columbia, known as MPD, is literally not doing their jobs. They're not picking people up. There's carjackings. There's all kinds of safety issues involved. There's all kinds of, so on and so forth stuff. So, okay, I'm being corrected. So I got to correct this while I'm on the air. Apparently it was just Maryland and Virginia who gave up the land to the DC. Delaware doesn't touch it. So I thought it was 3, but it was 2. Thank you for that. My Whiskey Warrior P1s, of course, keep me in line. So anyway, the whole point of all this is that the Capitol Police, they handle the Capitol grounds. And when they refused the DC National Guard help, there's nothing that Trump could have done. But in this particular case, what he is now doing is he is deploying the National Guard, which, by the way, he is in control of, all right? But he basically is not allowed to deploy them unless the civilian authority having jurisdiction, and here's the key, the civilian authority having jurisdiction asks for the National Guard to come in, just like a governor has to deploy the National Guard. The military is based on the Posse Comitatus Act and the Insurrection Act. They cannot operate on American soil in that kind of capacity. And so here's the thing. He has now usurped the authority of the mayor because of this law. He is now saying, okay, now I'm going to deploy the National Guard to help out the MPD. since he's in control. So he is now the authority having jurisdiction. Now, the key here with the National Guard is they are not going to be doing policing activities. They are literally there only to act in support of the Metropolitan Police Department, or the MPD for DC, the DC Police. Okay. And so essentially the actions of the DC is essentially the DC police are the only ones that will actually be able to do police activities. The National Guard is only there to help support those police activities. They are not going to actually engage with any of the police activities that will be going on the ground. So, again, this is not like a military occupation. A lot of people seem to think that, oh my gosh, this is a military operation, and he's militarily taking over. No, he's not. All he is doing is simply saying, hey, we're going to clean up the streets. He also suggested, by the way, that the homeless in and around the D.C. area, that they should have housing outside of the D.C. area, meaning that they need to move out. They need to get out of the city and move out to where they can basically, kind of, sort of, but basically become the problem of the states that's surrounding it, meaning Virginia and Maryland. So anyway, all of that is what's happening. And of course, the left is just going absolutely bonkers, because in the reality of this whole thing is that Trump actually, he went through, he figured it out. He's got a law. He's following the law. So there's nothing that they can do about it. Not a single thing that they can do about it. And yet, they are, especially people like Hillary Clinton, she jumped on X and started whining about it. So after all of this, and by the way, again, the 740 powers, that's the provision that allows the federal control of the Metropolitan Police Department. So again, he's acting within the confines of the legality of the situation. But Hillary Clinton jumped up and she goes, as you listen to an unhinged Trump justify deploying the National Guard in D.C., here's the reality. She claims that violent crime is at a 30-year low. Okay. What's that compared to? I mean, realistically, how bad is bad? She doesn't ever mention, what does that 30-year low actually mean? Because if crime was bad in D.C. and extremely bad in D.C., and over the course of the last 30 years, and you've only eliminated maybe 10% of that crime in the last 30 years, that's still a large number of problems. That's still a large number of criminal activity. So she just notes that, oh yeah, it's at a 30-year low. But is it at a 30-year low after a 110% high, or is it at a 30-year low because of a 30% high, which means that there would be almost zero crime in D.C.? And based on the fact that we saw a carjacking and video, which many of us saw, of a young man getting beat by a crowd of teenagers, and all he was doing was attempting to prevent a carjacking, along with many other reports of people getting mugged and, property getting stolen and all kinds of other things all around D.C. Well, He decided he's going to do something because that's where he essentially lives. And this is the one place that he actually has the power, the legal power, to be able to do so. Is right here in D.C. So, yeah. Anyway. Oh, the left. So, yeah. You know, all the National Guard, and Trump outlines this, all the National Guard is going to be doing is basically just focusing on preventing violence, further violence, protecting public property, and supporting local law enforcement. That's it. They're not going to be going out and like arresting people or anything else. In fact, if there is somebody who is doing something wrong and the National Guard sees it, they can detain the person, but they have to wait for law enforcement for any kind of legal action, like a full-on arrest or something along those lines. That's how this works. It's no different, realistically, than places like Ferguson, Missouri saw with the DC or with the National Guard, or any other place where the National Guard is deployed during riots and etc. So, anyway. All right. So, Attorney General Pam Bondi is going to be taking command of the MPD. And Terry Cole, who is the head of the Drug Enforcement Administration, is designated as the interim federal commissioner of the Metropolitan Police Department. So, the president can keep renewing this same control for up to 30 days while notifying Congress. After 30 days, he's going to have to get approval from Congress to keep this going. And that's essentially where this is at. So, yeah. So Trump wrote in a Truth Social post on August 10th, which was yesterday, ahead of the announcement that the mayor of D.C., Muriel Bowser, is a good person who has tried, but she has been given many chances, and the crime numbers get worse. And the city only gets dirtier and less attractive. So, yeah. Now, of course, Bowser appeared on MSNBC or MSLSD, which, if you want to go with Mark Levin's thing on it, but MSLSD, and said, we are not experiencing a crime spike. Yeah, okay. All right. Now, keep in mind, too, that the U.S. Park Police is also another law enforcement organization. You know, for as many law enforcement organizations that there are in this one particular area, you would think it would be the safest city in the world. Doesn't appear to be. So obviously there are problems. Obviously there are issues. So, yeah. Anyway, I mean, again, you have Park Police, Capitol Police, Homeland Security, Federal Protective Service, DEA, Bureau, BATF, the Marshal Service, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia. I mean, all these law enforcement agencies, and you can't clean up. You can't clean up? Yeah. Well, that's fine. Trump will take care of it. Because that's what he's going to do. Because that's what he does. He takes care of things. So, according to preliminary statistics from the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department, overall crime in the district has decreased by 7% year over year in the first 8 months of 2025. Violent crime has dropped by 26%, property crime by 4%. There's been a 12% drop in homicides, a 50% decrease in sexual abuse cases, a 28% reduction in robberies, and a 20% drop in burglaries. However, all of that doesn't point out where they started at. I mean, yeah, it's great that all these things are dropping, but where did they start out at is the question. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, obviously, like I said, these people are going nuts, the leftists. Well, MSNBC or MSLSD contributor Eddie Glaude, I think it's pronounced Glaude, it might be Glaude, Glaude, I don't know. Anyway, he appeared today on Chris Jansing Reports, and, well, this guy, Glaude, alleged that Trump's actions were politically motivated. He said, I think there's an ongoing argument that he's having in his head with Black Lives Matter. There's an ongoing argument that he's having with the questions around criminal justice reform and police reform. He says it's interesting that he really doesn't care about what's actually happening in D.C. on a certain level because he's not trying to get at the underlying root causes. He's not looking at examples of how to address rising crime rates that doesn't require a form of policing that leads to increased incarceration. Wait, hold on. Wait. Somebody does crime. How do you reform a criminal from doing crime without incarceration? I mean, it's not like you can go and talk to these people and be like, you know what? Sort of like that one teacher in school. Billy, you're doing a very bad thing, Billy, and you should not be doing that. Okay, where's the punishment? Where's the punishment for that? I mean, seriously? Anyway. Glaude went on to connect Trump's decisions to completely unrelated matters, including claiming that it was an effort to shift attention away from the Jeffrey Epstein case, which, I mean, Trump doesn't really give a shit about that, realistically. Anyway, Glaude said, when we try to treat this as a rational response, then we lose sight of the actual politics that's being played here. And he's actually trying to give his base red meat to get them off of the Epstein story. And it's on the backs of the citizens of Washington, D.C. He's going to undermine, oh, here it is, the democratic process in the district. Really? Yeah. Yeah, so keep in mind that, of course, this is, following a series of violent incidences in the city. So, yeah. There you go. Some of the more notable crimes included the August 5th attack on the Doge employee that I talked about, was beaten trying to stop a carjacking. On June 30th, a 21-year-old congressional intern was killed in a gang-related shooting near a metro station after suspects allegedly exited a vehicle and opened fire. On May 31st, in May, 31-year-old Elias Rodriguez was charged with fatally shooting two Israeli embassy staffers outside of the Capitol Jewish Museum. So even though they keep claiming, 26% drop in violent crime, but yeah. Anyway, we'll just have to see what this does and how people kind of react to it for all of this. All right, let me go ahead and get this in. Sorry, had to wet my whistle. Hey, you know what? I start every day with a large cup of coffee. 16 ounces is my preferred amount. And well, it gets me going because I get up so early in the morning. Well, at least early here on the Pacific Coast. But if you still haven't tried 1775 coffee, now is your shot. The 1775 starter kit has dropped. There's only 1,000 units available. Okay. You're getting the Bull Dark Roast that hits hard, the Smooth Medium Roast, and you're also getting a taste of the Vitality Mushroom Coffee for clean energy and laser focus with no crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin-free, and mold-free. Plus, you're also getting my personal favorite, the Gold Spoon Clip, because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. A frother that is strong enough to stir up not only your coffee, but also your mother-in-law's opinions on everything, whether it's politics, your choice of clothing, or something else. And you'll also be receiving a black 1775 tumbler. It's $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for just $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 coffee blow up on Rumble and wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler alert, it is. Go to 1775. That's the numbers. 1775coffee.com/studio. That's the question mark key for those of you that don't know that /. That's 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. That's 1775coffee.com/studio, STUDIO, where you can grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit today. All right. So, there's this guy. He is a former Department of Homeland Security official. His name is Miles Taylor. And he is an infamous leaker who apparently has bragged about sabotaging the Trump administration from the inside. And now he has admitted that he is concerned that he and others, including Adam Schiff and Letitia James, could face arrest under Trump. He made an appearance on MSNBC. And, he kind of got a little excited. Well, sort of, but he kind of got a little excited about that. Let's go ahead and take a listen to him whine.
Look, I am reasonably confident I did not commit treason against the United States of America, the country that I've served my entire career. But that's not really what they want to do, whether it's going, against me or Attorney General James or Adam Schiff. They want to go shine a light on these people in their lives and follow them as long as possible to find the traffic infraction that they can lord over them to make their lives very, very difficult. And make no mistake, this is not for show. We're in the early parts of this administration. The president is under enormous pressure from the MAGA base to put these people in handcuffs. It's why for years he's talked about locking them up. They now want to see it. And I'm telling you, they are going to find it. One of these newscasts, you are going to come on a Saturday, and you and I both know this, Allie, and we're going to be reporting sort of breathlessly that one of these people on this list has been put in handcuffs, has been picked up, and is in detention. We are going to cross that Rubicon during the Trump presidency. It brings me no joy to forecast that, but that's how open-eyed we need to be about this.
There's only one problem with that, buddy. I don't want just one. I want them all. Oh, he's freaking out. Yeah, he's freaking out all about this. And it's not just one, it's all. I want them all. And every single one of them. They all need to get arrested for if they've done something wrong, like Schiff and James and, any of the others, Brennan and Comey and Comer, or not Comer. I don't know. Anyway, any of those guys, yeah. So they're freaking out because they actually think they are now starting to realize that, oh, Lord, Trump actually has some teeth here. He has some teeth on all of this. As rightfully he should. When you guys break the law, that's what needs to happen. So, yeah. And by the way, this isn't fake stuff. This isn't made up stuff. This is real law-breaking activity here. They signed their name falsely on papers and documents saying that they had, in the case of Schiff and James, that they were attempting and saying that, yeah, these are my primary residences. And they were false on all of that. Anyway, they're going to find out. I really think so. And like he pointed out in that clip, man, this is just the start. We're not even like halfway through the first year. Who knows what the next 3 and almost 1/2 years is going to bring. Well, now you see why the left is like super excited over all of these things that are going on, like the redistricting that is proposed for Texas. And this is why they all are sitting here going, hey, this is, we can do it, but no, you can't. You can't. So here, the Illinois governor, they have to like lift him into the J.B. Pritzker. They have to like lift him into the Capitol building in Illinois or whatever. But anyway, he has been taking a bit of abuse, as he should, for his situation with regards to the hypocrisy after condemning Texas Republicans for pursuing a mid-decade congressional map redraw. And he's sitting there trying to defend at the same time his own state's heavily gerrymandered districts. Now, Illinois is one of the most gerrymandered, if not the most gerrymandered state in the union. And he was on NBC's Sunday's Meet the Press. And during that time, he was criticizing Governor Greg Abbott and President Donald Trump, of course, Trump for offering the support of the effort in Texas, and was alleging that the goal is to gain political advantage before the 2026 elections. No kidding. Why wouldn't they? I mean, that's pretty obvious, and it's not really illegal either because, let's see, they got gypped out of 2 extra seats because of the census that got screwed up mathematically. We still haven't heard whether or not that was on purpose or if it was just an accident. According to the Census Bureau, it was just an accident, but, well, it happened in 2020. So, yeah. Anyway, Pritzker said what Greg Abbott is doing and what Donald Trump is attempting to do is cheat. Mid-decade here. They're attempting to change the map. Oh, my gosh. Well, he also went on to say, by the way, that he praised the Texas House Democrats who fled to Illinois in an attempt to block the vote on the redistricting plan. Except there's only one problem. When asked specifically about his maps and why, oh, by the way, your nonpartisan watchdog groups have graded Illinois for an F in your fairness for redistricting in your map. Yeah. She asked the question. I guess the question is, if you talk about preserving democracy, how do you preserve democracy if you're using the exact same tactics that you're criticizing Texas Republicans for? Pritzker kind of goes, the reality of this whole situation is that it's the violation of people's voting rights is what Texas is attempting to do. That's what's wrong with their level of efforts right now. Wait, what? So redistricting and gerrymandering is a violation of people's voting rights, but yet your gerrymandering is not what Texas is doing, which, again, 89% of counties in the entire United States shifted right in 2024. They shifted toward the Republicans in 2024. So that being said, and you take, and by the way, I mean, redistricting a state that not only was cheated, literally, by a mathematical error, we'll just go with that, of 2 congressional seats in 2020, decides to redistrict and make those districts a little more, congruous and attached, and instead of looking like a meandering river going throughout the state, they decide to, make it a little bit more, I don't know, square, representative of a specific area, a radius from a specific center point. Sure. Yeah. That's a violation of people's voting rights. Really. That's not, having your representative actually represent you and your neighbors surrounding you rather than you and the neighbors that are all the way across the state that happen to be part of a city, maybe. Yeah, that's violating my voting rights. Sure. So, yeah. And not only that, but you also have to take a look at things like how a state was voting. So this guy by the name of Jeffrey Mead, he pulls this out. And he basically said J.B. Pritzker was on this show talking about democracy. And yet in Illinois, 43.5% voted for Trump and 54.4% voted for Harris. Democrats hold 82% of the House seats in Illinois, yet almost, a little over, I don't know, it's not quite a half and it's not quite a third, but in between that, whatever that is. And Republicans themselves have only 17% of the House seats, despite having nearly 44% of the vote. And you call that a violation of people's voting rights? Or not a violation of people's voting rights? Yeah, you're really good there, Mr. Pritzker. Really good. So, yeah. And to add to this is not only Pritzker. Pritzker's not the only one that's doing this. Kathy Hochul, she raised her head out of the sand, and she is threatening to redraw her state's congressional maps for the 2026 election, despite the fact that there's actually constitutional restrictions in the New York Constitution and prior court rulings that have been against those kinds of actions. So, yeah. Here's what she said during a Fox News Sunday interview with Shannon Bream. Hochul was asked, you know what, Shannon, these times call for fighting fire with fire. We didn't ask for this fight. I'm busy governing the state of New York, focusing on public safety and affordability. But then she went on to criticize President Trump and raising a bunch of unrelated topics like Texas and the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files. But, yeah, Bream noted that the voters have repeatedly rejected proposals to give lawmakers more control over drawing congressional maps in New York. Yep. Representative Mike Lawler, who is a Republican from New York, reinforced that point by stating the voters certified this at the ballot box. They wanted an independent redistricting commission. They do not want partisan gerrymandering, and they don't want to have it done in mid-decade redistricting. The Democrats, who oftentimes lecture everybody about upholding democracy, should abide by the state constitution. So this was back in 2014. Voters approved question 1, which was creating an independent redistricting commission, and barred partisan gerrymandering in the state of New York. So, yeah. Now, when the Independent Redistricting Committee deadlocked and did not submit maps over this after the 2020 census, Democrats went ahead and placed another question on the ballot in 2021 seeking to allow the legislature to draw the maps if the IRC failed to do so. Well, the IRC failed because they deadlocked, and voters rejected that measure. So, the maps that were submitted by the lawmakers drawing their own districts were criticized as being overly partisan. For an example, Jerry Nadler's district, which stretched 15 miles through 15 different state assembly districts, in a figure described by the New York Times as almost comically contorted. I mean, this is sort of what you're looking at. These are the gerrymandered districts. There's what Jerry Nadler decided that he wanted. I mean, seriously, this is like crazy. Why can't you just like take, I don't know, most of downtown or something? This is crazy. These kinds of redistricting things. Well, a whole bunch of legal challenges followed after the legislators did this, and the New York Court of Appeals struck down the maps. And in 2022, Chief Judge Janet DeFore wrote the majority opinion by saying a stalemate within the IRC resulted in a breakdown in the mandatory process for submission of electoral maps to the legislature. The legislature responded by creating and enacting maps in a non-transparent manner controlled exclusively by the dominant political party, doing exactly what they would have done in 2014 had the constitutional reforms never been passed. So, there you go. Oh, there you go. I mean, yeah. Now, for New York, a court-appointed special master drew the temporary maps for the 2022 election, and the IRC later approved maps for the 2024 cycle. So Hochul, of course, defended her administration's actions, saying that we followed the rules, and I want to call out the hypocrisy of the Republicans who are now whining about the fact that we're doing something in New York. Well, yeah, because Texas actually got it 2 seats stolen from them. I mean, seriously, come on. This is just crazy. Oh, anyway. Yeah. Well, just keep in mind, folks, okay, Democrats aren't hiding it anymore. Beto O'Rourke has been on the warpath. You hear, Pritzker and Kathy Hochul. They're all planning on trying to rig the system. That's what all of this is for. There are 16 midterm races that are on the docket that could determine who controls the next Congress. And that's why all of this stuff is going on. Okay? That's why all of this stuff is going on. So, yeah. There's 35, according to the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, they have identified 35 Republican-held congressional districts that are in play, while the National Republican Congressional Committee has a target list of 26 vulnerable incumbent Democrats that believe GOP challengers can unseat. So among these races are 13 House seats. Democrats won in districts that President Trump actually captured, and 3 Republicans won in districts that then Vice President Kamala Harris secured in November of 2024. So, yeah, this stuff is, we're not even past into 2025 yet, and things are already heating up for 2026. So, yeah. And there is all kinds of back and forth. Oh, we're just going to have to see what happens. But, man, it's going to make for a very interesting 2026 midterm election. Based on this map that I'm looking at here from the Epoch Times piece, you have Washington, Nebraska, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Alaska, North Carolina, Virginia, Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, Maine, and it looks like Delaware and maybe even Rhode Island. I don't know, but man, it's going to get hot. And I'm not talking about summertime hot. We are in a pivotal point in our history, folks. That's just the way it is. All right, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure you make sure you hit that or search up, sorry. I got distracted. Search up the American Perspective channel, and once you are there, hit that green follow button to get notified every time I go live. Also, too, don't forget to hit those thumbs up or thumbs down across all of my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, and, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.